Question here, 6.3 kilo or 7.5 kilo gravel bike? What's the deal, Duran Rider? What's the best bike in 2020? What's the deal? What do we get? I would recommend, depends what you recommend. I'd recommend, depends what riding you're doing, eh? You know what I mean? For me, if I had to choose one bike, I would go this, because I am a weight weenie. I love lightweight, fast bikes. I don't need disc brakes for the road. I have enough skill to stop with rim brakes. And I do find that the Shimano calipers are good enough. Now, it depends. I live here in Adelaide, Australia and Thailand, and so the roads here, I'm fine. I don't do a lot of gravel or dirt. Let's say I did live on dirt roads. I did ride in mud. I did ride in rain all the time. Constant rain. Then I would run a gravel bike. Let's say I wasn't going for every second counts on every climb. Racing 20-year-old dudes, flogging them, or getting flogged. I'll be going this. So it depends what sort of riding style you're doing. Let's say you wanted to put on, you know, go across Australia on the sand, on the dirt, and put 2-inch tyres in here. And you wanted to run mountain bike gearing. Who's doing that on gravel bikes? Everyone's using road gearing. Don't mind this, I'm just doing some testing out here. This is all unfinished business. Let's say you want to run carbon rims in mud and not have to worry about braking surface. Then you go disc, alright? Simple as that. So it depends on what sort of riding you're doing, what you should get. What should you get? It depends. It depends. For me, I wouldn't ride this bike as my only bike because I'm a weight weenie. Every second up north and summit matters. You know, when we're racing for banana stations. But if I was just, you know, if I was a bike messenger in the wet and the rain and on and off the brakes all the time, riding downstairs, needed big fat tyres, want to run 2-inch drop bar, then yeah, you're going to go a gravel bike, aren't you? The Pragma Mawson, custom painted, $6.99. Custom painted, high-end carbon road race, $6.99. It's too cheap for most people. Most people are like, oh, it's too cheap, it mustn't be quality. I'm just choosing not to make insane markup. These frames come from the exact same factory in China as, I can't say the brands, but if you look closely, if you look at the paint, if you're experienced, you could probably tell which high-end Tour de France winning teams are using these factories. If you've got a keen eye. Now, I can't say it for contract reasons, but I can sort of say certain things. And these bikes, and then there's no way on earth I'd be paying the ticket prices you pay in these shops these days. But hey, if you want to do that, that's fine. Nothing wrong with supporting your local bike shop. But everyone's, I wanted custom colours. So that's why I went to this sort of stuff. So I wanted custom colours, you know, and Trek Project 1, and having problems with my S-Works, and seeing a friend's Cervelo fork fail on him, and then him having to, you know, actually multiple forks failing because of, you know, poor carbon layup and the disc fork, grab the front brakes, snap the fork off, things like that. It's, you know, always, people, doesn't matter what brand you run, please, always run a steerer plug that goes below the bottom stem bolt, alright? Your steerer plug has to go below that on a carbon steerer. If you're using alloy, it doesn't really matter. But please, don't run shorts, you know, never put spacers above your stem unless your steerer plug goes below your lowest bolt. Are we clear on that? Please don't do that. Even so on GCN, they're on the spacers on a carbon steerer, and I'm just like, oh, guys, what he's doing? You know, I understand for resale value. What about the poor Hubbard, or the poor racer, or the poor Duran Rider, or anyone who's going to buy your bike second hand and inherit a weakened carbon steerer? That's a pernicious thing to inherit. A weakened carbon steerer on a $10,000 bike. That's nuts. So I see this all the time, man. You hear horror stories out there. People are dying out there from carbon steerer fails, you know. Ask Lucia Technic. Someone else has said, hey, speaking of Lucia Technic, why don't you cut up in one of your frames and have a look inside? Well, this is going to be the same frame inside as any of your top brands, all right? You can cut up Chris Froome's bike. Ooh, did I say too much? You can cut up one of their bikes and it'll look exactly the same inside, all right? So, you know, that's just the reality. What a frame looks like inside doesn't really mean that much. It doesn't really mean that much. What matters is how it rides. All right? Do you want to frame? I mean, what do you want to do with the bike? Do you want to cut it open and stick it up on the wall and go, oh, it's inside of a carbon bike. That was a Wednesday bike, that was a Tuesday bike, that was a Friday bike, and it's a little bit different in each one. These are made by EPS, so inside they're crispy clean. I'll get a USB camera and chuck one in there for the people who think that's valuable, but it's not, it doesn't mean anything. One of the best bikes I've ever ridden. These bikes are incredible. One of my favourite bikes is the SL3 Tarmac. You know, the BSA with external cables. You cut those open, they're ghastly inside. You probably get fish and chip wrappers in there. You know what I mean? Probably get a fucking Cliff Bar wrapper inside your S-Works. You know, but they ride really nice. They ride really nice. Those 2010 SL3s, and I've got one. Ride very similar to this, you know. And so it doesn't really matter what your frame looks like inside. That's just that's a nice handle that Lucia Technic's got. You know, it's sort of cool, and it's curious what's inside, and just goes to show you how things are finished. But these Chinese EPS frames, very clean inside, very clean inside. And we'll get the USB camera, as I just mentioned before, to show that, prove that. Not that it wouldn't matter though if it's dead clean or dead smooth in there. I mean, I could angle it and weevil it as like a marketing thing. I look at my frames, how clean they are inside, but it doesn't mean zip. What matters is how it rides. What matters is, does it have a bottom bracket that's going to be creaking and groaning and BB30 overlising, or is it BSA? Is it the best? Do you have the best bottom bracket design on your bike? That might not be an issue for you, you know? It is an issue for me because I tend to wear things out. But I find Press Fit BB86 works pretty good. That's probably the best behind BSA. But for me, BSA is my favourite. I can drop and chuck in the crank real easy with the bottom bracket and stuff like that. I love BSA. Does your bike have a special seat post? So if you crack it in 10 years' time for an accident, or the dog pushes it over at the cafe or whatever, or you learn it to one of your fat low-carb mates and he snaps it, can you get a seat post real easy? 27.2, 99% of bike shops in the world would have a seat post like that, 27.2. Seat clamp as well. Does yours have an integrated seat clamp, so if you do lose the bolt when you're traveling, are you screwed for the week? And I've met heaps of guys who come out for 2 Down Under, and they come down, they've lost the bolt in the Cervelo or the Tarmac or the S-Works or whatever, Pinarello, and that's their holiday over. They're going to rent a bike for the week. And it's like, oh man, just because of a single little bolt or a little wedge that they lost, which everyone does at some point in their life. Is the fork easy to replace? You know what I mean? If you have a crash, dog runs out in front of you, you snap your fork, you break your collarbone, now it's time to fix your bike, how much is it going to cost for the fork? Will we get the exact same colour? How much is it going to cost you? You know what I mean? So things like that. Perhaps someone said the other day, Harley, your bikes look boring. They look very standard. And it's like, they are standard, and they are very boring to the person who needs fancy, wanky, pretentious proprietary designs. Proprietary parts suck. Suck. What does proprietary mean? Proprietary means non-user serviceable, or you're locked in. All right? Like my Specialized Epic. You've seen the shock issues I've had with that. I can't service that myself. I have to go back to Specialized. I've been back like 4 or 5 times, and they've been great. They've been giving me service, but it doesn't fix the problem. The problem is the shock's still broken. So proprietary is something I'm really against in the bike industry. Same with Apple products, MacBook. You know, I've stopped. I wouldn't buy a brand new MacBook. I'd buy an old second-hand one, because the new ones, everything's soldered in there. So let's say you burn a logic board, or you burn your SSD or whatever, or something happens, we're going to upgrade some RAM. It's all soldered in there, so you're sort of shagged. So you're locked in there to this corporate greed of like, you're locked in now, you got nothing, you can't escape. MasterCard or Visa. So with a fork like these, you know, you're talking 100, 200 bucks, depends what paint you want, etc. Depends what fork you want. So I've made it, you know, I've basically made the bike, picked the bike out that I ride, and I would want to ride, and I would want to sell to someone who doesn't want to have to deal with faff. I couldn't work in the bike industry these days, you know. I honestly couldn't work there, because there's so much bullshit out there, and there's so many pretentious tosser roadies out there who are just like, who just froth over the hard to maintain stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't work with dummies, with dum-dums, in terms of customers coming in and being, oh, have you got this? And I'm like, yeah, well, that's a piece of junk. It's got a lot of problems for you. They're like, how dare you tell me the truth? I want to spend my money with an overpriced object. It's like, oh man. And I can't do that. Even in 2003 when I worked in the bike shop, I had people would come in and they want to buy a certain brand. And I'm like, look, that brand's only got like a 1-year warranty. And I'll be honest with you, have a problem, they're going to give you a big runaround. And they're like, what? Like, the other dealer didn't say that. And I'm like, well, I'm just being honest with you, man. Because I would want you to be honest with me. I've got ants biting me in my bum. So that's the deal. Which would you get? which would you get? Would you go lightweight road or lightweight gravel? So these fit a 2-inch tyre. They got full adventure mounts. They put bottles in their fenders on there. Mountain bike crank compatible. It looks like we're going to get that rolling. I do think, you know, for my sort of gravel riding, this bike's going to go anywhere. Yeah, this is named after the Mawson. The Mawson Trail is mad steep at the start. Mad steep. So if you don't have mountain bike gears in your bike on the Mawson Trail and you've got luggage on there, you're probably going to be walking your gravel bike up the first climb, which is nothing wrong with that. But I think that gearing should be appropriate. And I don't really rate one by, even though I've got one by shifters on there. I don't really rate the one by because it's, you know, but again, it depends where you live. But for my style of riding, I like to do epic hills, and maybe I'll jump in a bunchy, swap off turns off the front, or sit on for the sprint on the climb or whatever. And you know, I need a bit of extra gearing. So this one is a 3822 with a 1140 on the back. It's an XTR cassette running a R8000 GS derailleur. So there you go. That is the dealio. Other questions, leave it down below. But yeah, so I also want to say thanks for the support. Actually, it's so bright. My eyes aren't handling the brightness at the moment. Still feeling a bit concussed. I wanted to say sorry to people out there who are having some delays in shipping because of coronavirus, and this is for all industries in China. It's hit them hard, man. It's hit them hard. It's crazy. It's crazy how much you know, we've been hit by this corona thing in the bike industry, or Chinese industry. It's amazing. I couldn't imagine what it'd be like for those big factories out there, those super factories who are, you know, producing Apple product or Foxconn or Nike stuff. It's definitely it's cost the Chinese economy a lot of money. It's nuts. It's nuts. So, but anyway, so thanks for your patience about that. Your orders are, you know, being shipped out when they can be. So these frames are made to order. These are made to order, painted to order, custom painted. You select your color. You know, 1 or 2 colors, there's no extra fee, depends on the design. If you want more than 2 colors or fancy stuff, we can up the price, but we can do anything. But the price is still going to be cheaper than anyone else in the market. There's no one out there. If you know anyone out there who's doing better quality carbon, better quality hand paint, these are hand painted, you know, custom painted. So if you know anyone out there who's doing better, let me know. Let me know. Because I would love to, I'd love to support that as well, or send customers their way as well. So again, like I said before, I'm not out here to make a zillion bucks. I don't want to be the biggest guy out there, not at all. I love my lifestyle, a very simple lifestyle I live, and I just want to provide incredible value for people out there who appreciate value, who can recognise it. And this is what I've done here with Pragma Bikes. Pragma, coming from the word pragmatic. These are pragmatic designs. So when someone says, "Oh, it's boring," it's like, well, whatever, man. You call it boring, I call it pragmatic. Okay? I'll call it pragmatic. And, I worked in the bike industry and I've been racing for 22 years. Love a good race, running and cycling, and just I don't know, just some of the Muppets out there, some of the stuff they buy and how much they pay for it, and then they have the nerve to say something about that. And it's just like, man, you are so easy to scam. You're so easy to scam that when the truth is shown to you, you have like this allergic reaction to it, and you have to like ridicule it or whatever. It's like some people are so allergic to the truth that it's like they're coughing instantly. Hilariousness. Anyway, gravel or road, what do you choose? Do you need disc brakes for your riding? I do. When it's muddy and wet and raining and pissing out, I'm riding through big things of mud in Thailand, disc brakes. If I'm going for every second count, smashing out the 400 watts, smashing out the 800 watt sprint in the end on the climb, first over the line, then I'm going road, rim. It's super lightweight. Weight does matter. When every second matters, every 100 grams matters.